starting a new adventure, starting something that you've put off for so long because of all the limiting beliefs that have been getting in your way up until this point and thinking that it mattered. All of those limiting beliefs, they don't matter. They don't matter. What matters is what's in your heart. I know a lot of people caught the replay. I got some really wonderful messages from people, so thank you for participating in the group. It's really meaningful, and the feedback is super helpful because, like I said, this book is for my readers. It's not for me, and so it needs to land with them. And we have a really diverse group here in the book club, which is wonderful because I want everyone's perspectives and to make sure that I'm not missing anybody, making sure that they feel like I'm talking to them, with them, walking this path with them, and giving them hope that this is not the decline, as one person said, that she felt like this was the decline of her life. And she never thought about it as the next chapter, something exciting and fun and wonderful. There's an interesting statistic out there that women in their 60s, especially in their mid 60s, actually report being the happiest in their life. Really interesting. I think part of that as we get older, and I'm sure you watch any of those perimenopause videos on Instagram. The We Do Not Care Club. I love her so much. I love that that is just taken off like wildfire through the internet. And she wrote a book also. So go check out her book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure it's amazing and funny and heartwarming and just, connecting like that. But that's so true. Like we get to that point where like my bandwidth is gone and I just do not care anymore. And you start to learn by this time that it doesn't matter. Like you were doing all of these things for all of these different people for all of these reasons, whether they're made up or not. Most of them, by the way, are made up. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because people are going to do them. So you should do you and be happy and fulfilled in your life. And whether that is, starting a new adventure well into your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, or yeah, actually, that right there, starting a new adventure, starting something that you've put off for so long because of all the limiting beliefs that have been getting in your way up until this point and thinking that it mattered. All of those limiting beliefs, they don't matter. They don't matter. What matters is what's in your heart, whatever is driving you, whatever desire that you have. And we are, midlife and beyond. This is it. Like, you're not going to get another turn at this life right here. So, if there's something that is burning inside you that you want to do not put it off. Do not wait. Are you going to have doubts and fears and second guess yourself and think it's not good enough? Of course you are, because you're a human being. I did that this morning and I was getting ready for this call. I'm like, I still have those thoughts that this book isn't very good. And man, I'm probably repeating myself too much. And everybody already knows this, or it's dumb, it's rudimentary. I don't know, like, all of the thoughts. I have all those thoughts, but then I get feedback from you guys, and I also do my affirmations. I'm like, my work is of high service. I'm here to serve the people, and what I have to say is valuable and worthy and inspired, and I need to say it. And then I get feedback that confirms that, which is very helpful. uh, Super helpful. And I know going out into the world when we finally publish this book, there's going to be some haters. There's going to be some people that are going to write terrible things on the Amazons. Maybe they won't. Maybe it'll be just all love because that's the only thing I'm available for. I'm unavailable for trolls. Unavailable for it. So, all right. I hope you have your warm beverage. It is rainy here in the Tri-Cities, but I like the rain. We'll do a poll. Do people like the rain? I might be weird. I like it. I don't like it when it lasts for 3 months like it used to do over in Portland, but here in the Tri-Cities where it's always very sunny, which is great. I kind of like the rain sometimes. It's like cozy. It makes you want to cozy up with the book. So let's cozy up with the book today. I did want to give a little call out. So I've gotten some feedback from readers so far, which is so great. My editor finished her side of the edits. I got a lot of work to do. I've paused on working on other sections of the book. Like last week, I talked about I'm going to absolutely call out and put in sections throughout the book. Probably not an entire different chapter, but definitely incorporate it into the book. That's how I'm choosing to go about it, is the iatrogenic menopause. So this is premature menopause. We're talking you had surgery, you had chemo, you had radiation, or something happened. And iatrogenic is like medical caused. We caused you to go into medical people caused you to go into menopause prematurely. And that is very dramatic and it's very different. And I really want to talk about that because it is so real. And I am sorry I didn't put it in the first iteration of the book, but this is why we're still in the editing phase. So it's absolutely going to make the final copy. And as I write out those sections, I'm actually going to put them in the group. So I'll probably put them as a bonus. Um, that way you guys can access it as opposed to just putting it in the chat where then you have to like dig through the chat. But I've definitely worked with a lot of women who have had uh, a loss of ovarian function prematurely for one reason or another. And instead of a transitionary period where perimenopause can last anywhere from a year to 10 years, yay, uh, these women are like cut off and it's dramatic. And some of them, if we leave the ovaries in, let's say you had surgery, if the ovaries are left, you might still have some functioning there that might return, but sometimes it doesn't. And usually, either way, it kicks you into earlier menopause. And if remove the ovaries, bam, you are now in menopause. So it is loss of ovarian function. That is what menopause is. And when we have dramatic cutoff of those hormones, unfortunately, a lot of women, especially, let's talk even 10 years ago, were not getting hormone replacement therapy. Or if they did, they only got it for like a little window, and that wasn't appropriate. They should have been started on it and kept on it at least until the average age of menopause, if not indefinitely. Now we know we don't have to take you off of your HRT for any time frame reason. There's no medical evidence that there's anything that we need to do as far as only after, so many years post menopause, you have to come off of it. That's not true. That's just not true. So long as you are doing well, you're being monitored, your health is good, then you're good to go. I'm going to be drinking my tea a lot today because I kind of had a little head cold the past few days and my throat's still a little scratchy. So forgive me. Drink your tea or your coffee. So we're absolutely going to talk about that because that is such a dramatic change and a lot of women don't know that that is a thing. And then I'm going to put in a little bit more details in the actual chapter. So I'm really looking forward to writing about that because that's definitely a group of women who are left in the lurch, as many of us are left in the lurch, but absolutely that group of women absolutely is, definitely is. Um, and then I did want to, so getting back to feedback. Um, yes, and someone else pointed out too. They're like, I was waiting for somebody to talk in the chat, but no one did. So I just did something else. So if you don't feel comfortable talking in the group chat, if that feels like vulnerable for you, I think I only set it to like have your first name or something on there. Let me see if I can get it more anonymous. But honestly, this is a safe space. So don't feel like, we're going to be tearing anybody apart. And I do welcome like hey, I feel like this didn't really sit with me, or this, you missed this. I really wish you would have talked about this. Of course, I want positive feedback because hopefully there is positive feedback to be given. But if you feel more comfortable emailing your feedback to me, that's totally fine. So you can email Dr. Nicole Smith at antigravitywellness.com, Dr. Nicole Smith at antigravitywellness.com. That's totally fine. You can also like, because you're all in practice better, you can go into your direct chat and you can send it via direct chat too. That's totally fine. If you don't feel comfortable using the group chat, no worries. Totally understand. But I have gotten some feedback and I really appreciate it. And so far, it seems like it's landing. And even my editor said that too. I was just like, I can't even tell you, I kind of cried a little bit when she sent me her full, because I can see her editing because it's on a Google Doc. So I get notifications through Slack and things of when she's like making comments and everything. And that was helpful. And then she gave me a full big email at the end. and said, obviously, the rest of the my notes are in the Google Doc, but she said it was like wonderful and it spoke to her. And she has she's also been struggling with some things in menopause. And she didn't recognize some things like her joint pain. She was like, I had never tied that to the fact that I was in perimenopause and going through menopause because it did get worse. And I had no idea that it was correlated. And giving hope and giving actual tactics too. I don't want this book to be like, well, if you're not one of my patients, I can't help you. Like, no, like there's so many things that you can do on your own, and just being aware of what's going on with your body to be your own advocate, to take charge of your health. I've said that several times, be your own advocate, take charge of your health, because it is really a huge part of your care. Like I was taught in nursing school that patient autonomy is number one. We are not paternal providers, meaning that we don't dictate your care. We're not your father basically telling you what to do. And that's the way medicine used to be practiced, that we were the provider and what I say is what you do. That is not the case anymore. And I think people are really waking up to that more and more, especially women, that you are an active participant in your care. And my role as a provider is to educate and be your access point. You can't give yourself medication or, you know, you can run your own labs. Honestly, you can go online, you can run your own labs. But how do we interpret those labs? So I have the medical education background and that critical thinking that I help you to make the decision that's right for you. So that's my role, I believe. Not all providers share that philosophy. So if that speaks to you, then yeah, this is the place to be. So, all right. So today we're going to talk about how do you even figure out, because I've had some feedback. Some of you actually do want to write books and you have all different kinds of ideas. One of you wants to write a fiction series, which I think is brilliant. Another one wants to write kind of like almost like a biography type of a thing, but more about a location and the family, which is super fascinating and I love it. So some of you have shared that with me. And then here I am writing my nonfiction book, but you can see how I'm writing a nonfiction book, but in a way that's very storytelling, because stories connect people. Like we used to sit around a campfire at night and share stories. We do it. Our campfire is the TV. We're watching stories, right? So we love learning through stories that connects us, that makes us feel like, we get that emotional tie and we feel invested when we have stories. So I'm really trying my best to incorporate stories. And that was one thing from my editor that she gave me some feedback. She loved how I started with that, but then I didn't really continue that throughout the rest of it. So I'm going to go back through and find some areas where I can put in my story, my perspective of how I struggle with things like sleep and fatigue, vitamin D deficiency, low progesterone, low thyroid. I've had all these issues. So body weight, body changes, yes, absolutely. So I think that's really important too, to make sure that they connect with me as a person, not just as a provider, but then also connecting with my patients and their stories and seeing themselves through other people's stories. So figuring out what you actually want to say, finding your theme, finding your message, having your talking points. So let's talk about choosing the focus of the book. So I didn't try and write about everything, although I kind of did. Um, and then the importance of solving a clear problem. Now, this can even apply to fiction books, in that there's something that you want to get across. And again, it's that burning thing within your soul that you think about all the time. I want to tell you a quick story because I think it's super fascinating. And I can't remember the authors off the top of my head who the story was about, but there was an author and she was telling the story that she had an idea for a book. And she even kind of like workshopped it a little bit. And it was a very particular story about it, like a woman who goes to Africa and it's kind of like she finds herself and she finds love and a little bit eat, pray, love, true. But she had this story, and I think actually might have been Elizabeth Gilbert who was talking about this. So she had this story idea, but she sat on it for like 5 years at least, and she didn't do anything with it. And then she just kind of forgot about it. It's a very particular story. And then a little while later, someone else, another woman, wrote that story, like the exact same theme and through line. And, obviously it was not going to be the exact same book that this other author would have written, but it was the same inspired book. And she had never written anything down. These two women had never met. They were across the world from each other. And how does this happen? There's something to be. I think it's Elizabeth Gilbert's book actually called Big Magic. If you're looking into writing a book, I really recommend that book, Big Magic. It's kind of like the muse. We are all inspired by the muse. There's something out there that is talking to us, and it's supposed to come through us into the world. That's kind of helpful too, because then you don't have to think I am source. You're not the source, you're the conduit. So you're not responsible for it. It doesn't have to like pull things out of you as far as like draining you. You just get to channel it. And anyone who's in an artist, writer, anything, we kind of understand that there's something out there that is like the muse that is talking to us and telling us this is what we need to put out in the world. And then our ego and self-limiting beliefs get in the way, and that can stop us from doing that. But then maybe that idea still needs to be said somewhere. So it's going to go find somebody else. If it doesn't come through, it'll come through somebody else. So, which is a really interesting concept. So, but your message, what you want to say. So, from my side of things, how I did this, I knew I needed to write a book. Part of that was because there was actually several reasons. One, I know there's no better way to establish your authority and to build your audience, to reach the people, and to also help the business than to write a book. And I definitely have a lot of knowledge in my little noggin from all of the schooling and the practical experience that I've had. And I feel like it's the time. This is the time. And it's perfect because I'm a perimenopausal woman who cares for perimenopausal women, writing about perimenopausal women. Like, read what you know. I know this stuff. I know this stuff very well. And then trusting that I can convey that on the page in a way that will connect with these women and give them the tools that they need to empower them. And that's really the ultimate thing. You got to think about who you're talking to, and we can't talk to everybody. Usually talking to one person. So I do that when I'm thinking about like writing an email or doing a post or whatever, or creating a program. There's one woman, my avatar, that I'm thinking about. And sometimes it's like kind of a past patient or a current patient who is just like my ideal wonderful person who I'm like, this is the person I'm supposed to work with. And we need more people like this because they are perfectly aligned. I am the right provider for this person and then the right patient for me. And it's just a beautiful relationship. And that isn't the case with everybody, right? You can't write to everybody, you can't help everybody. Some people are just not your people, and that's okay. They will find their people. So so you think about that one person that you're writing for and think about your audience, who you're writing for. And it can even be, honestly, for like people who are writing fiction, for example, when I started writing my fiction book and then I never finished it, I was writing it for me. And that's okay too. You can write a book for yourself and just know that there's somebody else out there who's going to want to read that book and who needs that book. Like they need that escape. So, like, especially with fiction, I think you can teach lessons, you can teach um, ways to process things. And, art dictates life and life dictates art. It goes back and forth. So that can be a really beautiful thing to use is fiction writing. And then, of course, nonfiction, where you just really put it all out there. Although, what is nonfiction? Because everything is an interpretation, right? So for me, my audience, I had to get very clear about it. And I went back and pulled things away and made sure that I reorganized it because I didn't want it to be too academic. I can write an academic paper, no problem. I could write a textbook, easy, right? But actually talking to the women in front of me, which is something I've got a lot of practice with when I'm doing, social media posts or emails or outreach and things like that to my audience. I'm selling my services, offering my services to women who are not medical professionals. Some of them are, but who really are not the experts in this, and talking to them in the same fashion that I would talk to another provider is not appropriate. I need to talk to them and use their language. So I've really kind of focused on that too. So I've gone into like the Facebook groups, and this is something you could use even for researching your book or whatever you're trying to do. When you're finding your audience, is you go into Facebook, holy crap, there's so many groups in there, and you request to be part of these groups, and then you like are a lurker, and and yeah, put in helpful comments every now and again, not soliciting, of course, but just being helpful. But you get to hear the exact words that they're using to describe things. And that was something that was really important too, as learning to be a medical provider. We have all these medical terms for things, but that's not the terms that the patient uses, right? Like I have one patient who says her feet feel squishy. And I'm like, squishy feet. I don't think there's a diagnosis code for squishy feet. And it was a sensation, like it didn't look like swollen. She just felt off, like the sensation. She's like, I've been trying to like figure out how to say this. So the way that your audience talks about things, it's really, really helpful to know how they talk about things, how they describe things, so that you can say that to them so that they go, you know what I'm talking about, because you're using the same language. And I think that's really important. I really tried to make sure that I did that with this book. Still incorporating the medical terminology because it's important, because you're going to see it out there, or you're going to see it on a report, or some doctor is going to talk to you about it. And you're like, what are they talking about? So have those medical terms or whatever terms that you're using, but make sure that you break it down, make it understandable. We're taught in advertising to write things in third to fifth grade language, not because people are dumb, not because people are dumb. People are very smart, but people are busy. People are busy. And if they have to stop and think about what the crap you're talking about because it's too complex, it won't land unless that's the audience that you're talking to. And they're like that type of people. There are those people out there. So those are your people. That's fine. But for the most part, I'm talking to women who are exhausted, who are busy as hell, whose plates are overloaded, who have all these symptoms, and they just want a little bit of freaking clarity about what the crap is going on. So that is why I didn't title the book Perimenopause. Okay, first of all, we don't want to be classified. Don't classify me, right? Like I don't want to think about that. Some women just really don't like that word, and that's okay. Menopause is still one of those words that we don't like to talk about, because it's entering into the crone age, right? Which I'm really challenging. I think that's BS. That's outdated, incredibly outdated. When, if you weren't married by the time you were 14, then by the time you're 18, you're an old maid. Like we have advanced in our culture and in our society from that. Okay. So, uh, transitioning into being this next vibrant age, like there's no reason why we can't be even more active, even more alive, and thriving through this time. So that was identifying my audience and figuring out who I was writing to, talking in their language so that it was relatable and they could see, I get you. I get you, and I'm here to help you. And here's how. Okay. So thinking about that, whether you're writing a book or you're doing a business or whatever you're doing, like we have a photographer in here, like who is that photo for? Maybe it's for you, and that's cool. And maybe it's for somebody who just needs like thinking about they're exhausted and I used to stare at paintings and photos, and I still do, especially in the hospital. And there's so much pain and suffering. And if you could look at something that transports you into this serene, calm energy, then that's your audience. That's who you're serving right there. Okay. So questions for you guys. What do people always ask you about? This is actually how I even started my business, guys. I got asked all the time, way back, even when I was just a nurse, when I was a nurse working my butt off on the floor for like, I don't know, over 5 years before I went on to be a nurse practitioner. When I was a nurse, I would get asked all the time, how do you eat? How do you exercise? How do you, how did you transform your body and your health? Uh, that evolved. Like I started helping my friends and family, and then that evolved into a business, and then that evolved into let's go deeper into labs, and that evolved into look at this functional medicine stuff and how I can help you, and that evolved into hormone care. And here we are. So the natural evolution of things, like what do people ask you for all the time? And that's just kind of where I've been led. Like I let it guide me. What do people want? What are they asking for from me? What do they come to me for? And that's where I am called to serve. And then what life experience has shaped you the most? That can be really, really powerful. If you're able to share that, if you're able to, like, and usually this is post process, but sometimes people use books to actually process through their own stuff, which is great because as you're processing through it, you can help other people process as well. And that can be very, very powerful. So, those are some things to think about. All right, guys, that wraps up our 30 minutes together. So I'm going to go ahead and see, are there any questions or comments? I got a comment. Can you focus on frozen shoulder next time? Yes. Oh, like talking about it here in this group. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think I talk about that enough in the book too. So that is a really good call out. I think I just talk about like more musculoskeletal. So yes, frozen shoulder. And I even have a really good case study to put into the book for that. And how do we differentiate between frozen shoulder and osteoarthritis and whatever else is going on? Because isn't that part of the fun? Okay, so quick announcement too. One of the reasons why I've kind of paused on working on edits on the book, besides the fact that this is running, so I'm gonna let you guys read it before I start diving in there and changing everything. Case studies resonated with the most. Thank you. Good. I'm so glad. I think that really helps too. I learned that when I was teaching, and actually one of somebody in here. I learned that when I was teaching the nurses that we learned again, it's stories. Case studies really help drive the material home. So I use that in teaching, and I thought that would work well with this book too, and I'm glad it does. It's that human connection. It's because everyone's a little bit different, but that helps to kind of go, okay, somebody else has been through this too. I'm not alone. So I am putting together a energy reset program that's going to be like our new program that is out there. That's what we're gonna put marketing to and everything so that people get to know, like, trust me. And I think I'm going to offer it um, to the clinic. Anybody who's in the clinic, maybe just for free. I don't know. Sometimes when I offer things for free, though, they people don't do it. It's like the perceived value isn't there. It's low cost, so maybe we'll just do like half, 50% off or something. But it's basically a 21-day self-paced energy reset program where I really dive into, like, we have a quiz that they're going to take to get into it to see what type of energy drain you have, which is usually a combination of things. The energy resource. Yeah. So energy reset is coming. I'm working on recording the videos today, so we're working on it right now. Uh, but yeah, identifying where your energy drain is coming from, because that uh, fatigue and brain fog are the two most common earliest signs of perimenopause that we come across. So I think it's really important to talk about that. And if you don't have energy, you can't do anything else you can't eat right, you can't exercise, you can't deal with your life and stop yelling at people because you're exhausted all the time. You can't function. So that's one of the number one things that women come to me for. They might say, oh, I have belly fat. But then when we really sit down and talk about it, they're like, I don't have any energy to do any of this. And I try and work out and it doesn't work. Yeah, I know, girl, because you're exhausted and you keep pushing through it. And we need to stop doing that. So this energy reset is going to walk you through, like, is it sugar? Is it cortisol? Is it hormone changes? Is it thyroid? Is it your sleep pattern? Is it how you're eating or not eating? Um, those things, hydration, even 2% of dehydration can cause brain fog. Did you know that? It doesn't take very much. So well before you start to feel like super thirsty. That's why using just the thirst reflex is not as reliable as we would like, especially as people get older. The older we get, the less thirst drive we have. So we have to make sure that we're just drinking water. So that's what it's going to cover. I'm really excited about it. It's one of my best things that I've ever put together. I'm kind of like putting all the other stuff aside, like the energy resource idea, get brain fog, and just give up interacting with the world because it's easier. Yeah, yeah. Same. Um, and sometimes you just need to like take a nap and it's okay. But when it's all the time, and I had years where it was constant, it was every single day, and it was just how I was living my life. And that's not how it needs to be. I feel so much better now. And I'm 44. I'm going to be 45 this year. I feel so much better now than I have in a long time, a really long time. So it is possible. I'm living proof, and I have patients that are living proof. And I think this program is going to be really amazing. And for people who are interested in working with me, or even those of you who have been working with me, and you're just like, I don't know, I'm still tired, or I felt good and now I don't feel good, and I'm not really sure, and I don't want to bug her, and then you can take the energy reset and see where you're at, and then we can talk about it. So, all right, everyone. Well, we're going to wrap it up. I'm a little over. Thank you so much, everyone who's contributing. I cannot thank you enough. And I think it's so wonderful that you guys are all here and participating. I'm excited for the book launch party, by the way, which we're all invited to. Planning to have a virtual one and also an in-person one for those of you who are local in the Tri-Cities, or if you want to travel and just come visit us and go wine tasting while you're here. We actually have quite the quite the variety now, and go to Walla Walla. It's cute. Yeah, so it'll be really fun. All right, guys, have a great day. I will talk to you next time. Bye.